Hi everyone, my name's Dahlia. Welcome to my channel. Today I have decided to do a Tuesday Talks, and Tuesday Talks is a Goodreads group, and basically they come up with discussion topics that you can do either on your blog, on YouTube, or just there on the Goodreads page, and so I can leave a link to that group down below. And so this week's topic for Tuesday Talks is unusual names that you've come across while reading, and I think, with reading, authors come up with really cool and awesome names. I wouldn't say they're always unusual because I feel like unusual is kind of I don't know, it just feels like a negative word. It kind of has that feeling that, oh, different, not good, So I want to use the word like unique for this video. And so I'm going to say these names are really unique, and I actually really love most of these names on this list, and the ones that I don't love I still think are really unique and cool. And so yeah, with that intro said, I am going to get into the books and the character names that I've picked for this discussion. So the first name that came to mind was the main character of Uprooted, Agnieska. Or Agnieska. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, but it's Agnieszka. And I just thought that is such a beautiful name. I have never heard of it before. Maybe you have. I don't know where it's from or the origin of this name. I just know that I thought it was so pretty and I loved it, and yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of has this sound in the mouth that even though it's hard to pronounce, I don't know, I still really like it, because if you've read this book, you know that Agnieszka is really clumsy. She has a habit of getting dirtied up a bit, which is fine, and I think that kind of reflects in her name. It's kind of hard to say, hard to say in the throat, and so I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but I just think that is just a nice name. Okay, and then the next book I have is, the next name I have is Magnus from the Mortal Instruments series. So this is City of Bones. And I know Magnus is such a beloved character in this series, and I also love Magnus. It's just his name is so uncommon and so unique. I've never come across someone named Magnus. That's definitely something you read in books. Rick Riordan, his new series with Magnus Chase, his name is inspired off this Magnus, and so I think that just speaks something people haven't really come across this name before. I mean, maybe you have, but I just know I haven't. And I don't know, Magnus, it kind of has that lava feeling, magma, whatever, you know what I mean. And it just has that ooh, hot and sizzly kind of vibe, and that's definitely Magnus. And so I think his name is so fitting and so unique, and I just love it. So the next one that I have is Karoo from Daughter and Smoke and Bone. Karoo in Chimera in this world means hope. And I just think it's such a beautiful and lovely name. Definitely uncommon. I never heard of the name Karoo before, but I don't know, I love it. It's Karou, I believe. I listened to it on audiobook, but I'm pretty sure that's how you spell it. I don't know, and I just love how her name means hope in this language of the Chimera, and I've said this in one of my other videos, I think hope is a big theme in these books, and so the fact that her name means that and it represents something more than just herself, it represents a dream, it's just so beautiful, and it just adds a whole nother meaning and uniqueness and just something more special to her name. And her name is a vital part of her. It's I don't want to spoil this series, but before she knew herself as something else or somebody else, and now she is Karoo. She is this new identity, and it's just become a huge part of her, and I just think that is so lovely. And if you've read this series, and hopefully you know what I'm talking about. And then the next one I have is another beloved character, and it's Hermione from Harry Potter. And I know Hermione is the daughter of Menelaus, I don't know if I said that right, and Helen from the ancient Greek myths, and Helen of Troy. And so it's not like completely original, but like the way, I mean, it appears in the Harry Potter books, and maybe this is the first time many people have come across that name. And it's just such a lovely name. It's so uncommon, so unique, and yeah, I feel like when people think about Greek mythology, maybe like people name their children after like, those classical figures, and usually it's, things like Athena and things, more common and more popular. But Hermione is such like a minor character in the Greek myths, and I just love how her name like is represented here with one of the most prominent figures of the series. And it's just, so it's like I said, it's a beautiful name, and it's just, I don't know, I just love it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure many people have grown to love it too, because now that the Harry Potter generation has grown up and they're having kids of their own, I'm hearing that people are naming their children after Harry Potter characters, and I'm pretty sure Hermione has become a really popular name, like, let's be honest. So yeah, and then the next name I have on my list is Cinder from the Lunar Chronicles. It's a really bad glare, but I'm pretty sure we've all heard of Cinder, and I think, well, her name is shortened from Cinderella, which Cinderella is also like a really unique name. Like Cinderella, like who would have ever thought of that? I wouldn't have. But Cinder, like itself, it's such a interesting name, because when I think of Cinder, even before I read this series, I think of like the type of like rock, like the cinder cone volcanoes kind of thing, and I just think that's really interesting. And I don't know, I think it just like plays into her character as well, because she's like, you know she's tough, she gets dirty, she is a mechanic, and I think that really like fits well with her name. Like she's not only like a retelling of a popular and famous fairy tale character, but also she has become, her own character as well. She is just so unique, and I think Marissa Meyer does a great job with her character. Like Cinder was my favorite of the four main girls in the Lunar Chronicles. Because like in my head I'm thinking of like, she may be like a little small and stuff, but she probably has like, some muscles going on. She gets down and dirty, she's not afraid of that kind of stuff. And yeah, Cinder, like again, I just think of the rock, or like, the cinder cones, and so I just kind of play with that idea in my head, and I just love it. Okay, I keep looking over here, but that's because my list is over here, because like obviously I can't like remember all these people from the top of my head. So yeah, and with that said, the next one on my list is Eragon from the Inheritance Cycle, by Christopher Paolini. And Eragon is basically dragon, but replace the D with the E, and then you got Eragon. And I just think this name is so unique. It kind of sounds like Aragorn from the Lord of the Rings series, but let's be honest, Lord of the Rings, that series has like a whole nother list of like crazy names. But Eragon I love so much, because like again, it's almost like the word dragon, and it's just such a unique name. Like when you say Eragon, you think of the Eragon, like from these books, at least I do. And yeah, I don't really need to say much about this name. It's just a great name that I love, and it's very uncommon, very unique, and yeah. And then the next book, I'm going to say 3 characters are all from the same book/trilogy. They're from the Hunger Games. You may be guessing already. I think Katniss, Peeta, and Prim/Primrose are very unusual names, very unique names. I think a lot of people in this trilogy in particular have very like unique names. Like when you talk about, oh, Peeta Mellark, like there's just only one Peeta, like only one Peeta. You know who Peeta is, you know who Katniss is, you know who Prim is, you know who President Snow is, and Coin and all that. And like all these names are just so unique and I love them. Like at first I was like kind of like, okay, these are like interesting names to choose for your characters, but like they grew on me. And like, you know, this is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. True, I haven't read like a lot of trilogies, but like still this is like high up on my list. I've reread it so many times in the short amount of time I've had this book. Actually, my copy is at home. But yeah, I don't know, these names just grew on me, and I'm pretty sure they grew on many other people too, because this is like again a very beloved trilogy. And yeah, with that said, like when you love a character, you love every part of them, including like their unique name and stuff. That just becomes so important. It just like shows, just I don't know, like I've always been self-conscious about my own name, like Dahlia, like okay, what kind of name is that? But like now I'm starting to embrace it more. Like no, this is a name that my mother gave me and I love it. And like all these characters have also like unique names. Like just make it a part of yourself and just accept it. And I just love that. That's why I love Katniss, Peeta, and Prim. Okay, now the second half of this video, like from now on I'm gonna say more like even more unusual names, because of all these names that I've said before are the names that like I said that I think are so unique that I love. But now I'm gonna get into the more interesting names, in my opinion. Just bear with me. So the first two I'm gonna say are, for this part of the video, Soda Pop and Pony Boy from The Outsiders. Like, are those their real names? Like, really? But yeah, I don't know. At first, I was like, are those nicknames? But it doesn't really hint that they are. Like, I think those are really their real names, and I think that's so cool. Like, yeah, why can't their names be Soda Pop and Pony Boy? Like, why not? I don't know, and I just love those two characters. I think they're so good. I've only read this book once, and this was a few months ago for class, and I'm so surprised I haven't picked up this book earlier. Like, it's so good. And if you haven't picked up The Outsiders, that's what this book is. I don't know if I said that, but this is The Outsiders, and yeah, this is a great, like, gritty novel, and the characters are all great. Like, you know, they're all greasers, and, you know, even though you get the wrong impression, you know, of like kids who are on the street who are messing around, this book definitely shines a new light on them. And Pony Boy and Soda Pop are definitely two characters that I love, and, you know, name and all. And then the next one I have that is kind of more like, you know, unusual, but I still absolutely love. I think it's totally unique. So you know Daniel Wing from the Legend trilogy? God, this glare is so bad. Legend trilogy. His nickname's Day, like D-A-Y, like daytime. I don't know. I love it, and I was like, why not? Day, love it. I don't actually have much to say on that name. I just wanted to point it out and see if anyone else really liked that name. And then another, you know, kind of, you know, odd name that you don't come across very often, Four from Divergent. Like, Four, because he's named after his, like, only 4 fears, apparently. And yeah, I don't know, that's a strange nickname, but like I guess nicknames, like I don't know if this counts like towards the names, but like it's nicknames, so like that's what he's referred to as throughout most of the trilogy. Four. Okay, I don't love that one as much as the other ones. Like that's one of the ones that are like but it's still like pretty unique, like number 4. Okay, one that I think is really cool is from The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. The main character, his name is Nobody Owens. That's his name, but for short, his nickname, they call him Bod. So Nobody Owens. I don't know, that's just, again, like I think that's another name really like unique and like adds more to his character, adds another like layer of meaning to his character, because he's raised in this graveyard by all these dead people, all these ghosts, and his name is Nobody, so it kind of like takes away like some part of him, like the part of him that existed basically prior to living in this graveyard. And I just wonder, because by the end of the book, I don't want to spoil it, but like, you know, he realizes something. He has to become, you know, he has to like, okay, I don't want to spoil it, but like, what does that name mean for him when, like, you know, by the end of the book, like, is it still the same? Is he still the same? And yeah, I don't know. It's just a very interesting name, and you just don't come across characters very often whose names are nobody. So, unless they're being teased at school, which is really sad. But, okay, and I only have one more to talk about, but this is like a whole group of characters. The Hobbit, Thorin and company. All those dwarves have really weird, strange, uncommon, unusual, unique names. Maybe with the exception of like Gandalf, which is, you know, again, you really unique, but like, come on, that's like the most normal one of the group. And also Thorin, like that's also one of the more normal names in the group. Because the other ones are like Philly, Killy, Oin, Gloin, Biffer, Bofer, Bomber, I don't know, Dory, Ori, Balin, Dwalin, and then there's Bilbo too. And you know, the Hobbits have like a whole nother like category of unique and strange names, like Bilbo Baggins, I don't know, Proud Feet, like that's a Hobbit like surname. I don't know, and it's just very interesting. Like all the dwarves in here have very interesting name. Like, why do they have to rhyme? Is that just something like a family thing where like the names have to rhyme? I mean, like, you know, Thorin's lineage is like Thrain, and then there's like a Thorin, and then there's a Thror, and it's like, okay, I think that's like a family thing. I don't know, but their names are very interesting indeed. And you know, if you've read The Hobbit, like, you may, like, you know, you kind of don't think about it, you get used to it. It's like, oh, okay, like, okay, you get the hang of it. But if you're new to like Tolkien's world, his characters, like, they just all have really strange, interesting, unique names. Like, you know, in Lord of the Rings, Legolas sounds like a Lego, but you just grow to love it, and you don't understand why. You just do. If you love the book, you love the characters, you love everything about them, that comes with their name as well. So yeah, and those are all the characters I chose for this video. It's a very long video because there are a lot of characters that I did want to talk about, and I know for some of you, you may not agree with me, like, oh, these names are not that unusual, but for me, I think they're very unique, and I just love them, except for like a couple I mentioned on this list that are kind of weird, like 4. Again, I'm not a big fan of that one, but whatever. Those are my thoughts. That's my discussion video, and yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any unusual names or unique names, uncommon names that you came across in your reading in any books, feel free to leave them down below. I would love to hear any more. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and hope you have a very good day.